Hello, this is Mr. Sellinger. This video is to instruct you on how to use Logger Pro to analyze a video. I assume at this point that you've already uploaded a video from your camera, phone, or what have you, and you're ready to analyze it, and also that you've installed the Logger Pro software. Right now, then you will probably see a very familiar site, the Logger Pro software. So the first thing we need to do is go to Insert in the menu bar, go down to Movie, click on Movie, and my video is in Google Drive, Physics folder, Video Physics, and I'm going to pick just one of my physics videos I have here. That one will do just fine. To begin with, you'll notice the videos of two cars that are going to collide, and in the lower right hand corner I want you to notice that there's a button with three red dots like projectile motion, motion map dots, and an arrow. So we click on that and it'll open up a menu bar on the right hand side of the video screen. The first thing we need to do is to set an origin, and we go to the third button down where it says set origin after you hover, and then we go over with the crosshairs, and I'm going to pick an area that's going to sit on top of where the motion is occurring, and I'm going to choose this back part of the wheel for this particular cart because that's the one I'm interested in. So I'm going to go ahead and click on a very visible portion of the car, the nut that holds the wheel on, and I notice that the yellow x-axis I've created is parallel to the wall and to the lines on the floor, reasonably parallel I should say, and so that's a pretty good orientation for the axes. So if I click on the yellow dot though, if I wanted to change it, I could change the axes in any particular fashion I would desire, but because I'm only interested in the motion, straight line motion of the cart, I'm going to keep that axis as parallel to the wall as possible because that's how I had the experiment set up to begin with originally. Now, the next thing I want to do is just choose a scale. I click on that fourth button down, and I have to choose a scale that I know, distance that I know, that exists upon the origin. Since we have a tile floor that's 12 inches by 12 inches for each square tile, I'm going to get as close to I can to the motion of the carts, and I'm going to click and drag across from one side of a tile to the other. Now I know it's distorted three-dimensionally, or on the two dimensions that we're looking at, but I do know from one side of the tile to the other, if I keep parallel to the axes and to the lines of the other tiles, that will be 1 foot long, or approximately so. And that will give me a scale. Now the reason that's important is that when the program does the calculations for distance, it'll assume then that this is the absolute scale for all the motion that occurs within inside of this video. And so all the measurements will occur based upon this scale of 1 foot equals this length. To begin to analyze, I'm going to advance the video to a point where the student's hand begins to move the cart. And since I'm only interested in the motion of the cart itself and not the student pushing on it, I'm going to advance the video frames just enough until I can see the student's hand not really applying a force. It's at this point I want to analyze the motion. So I go to the second button down and click on it. Notice how it said add point. So I have to choose a location on the cart that is not deformable and that will be easy enough to see for each frame. Obviously the nuts on the wheels are pretty bright on a blue background, so they would probably be the easiest thing for me to see as I go from frame to frame. So when I hover the crosshairs onto the silver nut and I click, I generate a data point on the graph here. And I'll do it again, and again, And a few more times. Notice how it gets a little hidden here, but I'm going to have to take a guesstimation and see the collision has already occurred. So now the cart stopped and the spring is pushing back. And at this point, the cart on the left is done with its motion. So I'm now going to click on the data points themselves. I'm interested only in the X motion, not in the Y motion. So for the graph, I'm going to right click, or actually left click, I apologize, on the labels for the graph, on the y-axis labels for the graph, and I'm interested in the X position only. And of course, here are the times on the bottom. I have not done a curve fit on here. I can do so, but I'm not really interested, or I'm sorry, I apologize for connecting the points. I'm not interested in connecting the points, but I am interested in doing a curve fit to see what the velocity of the cart is before it makes its collision. So to do so, I'm going to do what I would do on the lab quest, and that's click and drag and highlight the area of interest. And then I'm going to analyze, and I'm going to do a linear fit of the data, and the black brackets on the left and right hand side indicate the area over which I looked at the data points and did what's called a root mean square average. And that's not so much important, but I want to look at the slope here. It's saying that the slope is 2.228 feet per second. So that's the speed in the range of times from about 2.3 to 2.53 seconds. That is how you use the video analysis feature in Logger Pro. Thank you very much.